Hi everybody, welcome to Demo, the show where companies come in and they show us their latest products and services. Today I'm joined by Connor Jensen. He's the Global Field CDO at Dataiku. Welcome to the show, Connor.
Thanks, I'm really happy to be here, Keith.
And CDO, I'm going to guess Chief Data Officer, not
It is CDO, Chief Data Officer. That's sort of my background is in the data science space. Sometimes people think digital, and I'll let them think what they need to think.
And now Dataiku, there's several different pronunciations of it. Explain the company name and then explain kind of what you're going to show us today.
So it really is just a portmanteau, like data and haiku.
Okay.
There's no real more to it than that.
Yeah.
But definitely because it's a French company. So we were founded in France about 12 years ago. The French say data and haiku, and it's very soft H, so they tend to say it dataiku.
Okay.
Americans tend to pronounce it dataiku, but we're a pretty global company. I've heard 20, 30 different pronunciations of it. We sort of take all comers, and so, yeah.
At first I thought it was a Japanese company because I thought it was an anime show.
I totally buy it. So, the Japanese say it completely differently as well. So it's a fairly wide range.
All right, so give us an overview of what you're going to show today and the whole purpose of
So Dataiku, our core platform is a platform allowing any people, regardless of their skill set, so coders, non-coders, et cetera, to access data wherever, in the cloud, on-prem, however you need it, to do sort of the full spectrum of analytics. So we're going to talk about a couple of different use cases for it, to do basic analytics, machine learning, Gen AI, and sort of everything in between, and do all that from a central platform where it's a single UI with wraparound governance. And so we're going to walk through a use case of just like what an example would look like.
Now, a lot of companies that come in here, they gear their products and platforms to a specific subset or job role within the enterprise. It feels like this can be used across the enterprise in a number of different roles, or anybody that's interested in analytics, and it's not just for like a data scientist.
It's for anybody that needs to use data as part of their job.
Yeah.
So you see people coming certainly from the data engineering, data science side. People come from the like analytics, sales analytics, marketing analytics, all that sort of stuff. It really is a fairly like versatile and like widely used platform.
All right, and I've also had a lot of companies come in here that have done this whole data, access data everywhere and compile it, mush it together and spit it out again. So what makes Dataiku different from a lot of these other companies that are doing it?
So the key piece for us is that we're not pulling the data in. So we work as a UI that sits on top of your data, but your data stays where it is. And so we'll pull it like a tiny bit locally so you have sort of a sample to work with from a cached perspective so that you sort of see the impact of what you're doing and you see those live changes, similar to working in Excel or other spreadsheet type stuff.
Yeah.
But the data is going to stay in whatever that data source is. And so once you save it, it's always going to push down and run that compute down below. That's SQL-based type stuff. That's machine learning and in-memory type stuff. We don't want to be moving data around. And so you can sit Dataiku in one place, access data in your like local SQL servers, you can access it in your S3 buckets, or you can spin off Kubernetes and go do clusters and all that sort of stuff. But we're not moving all that data around, it's staying where it is.
Okay, and my last question is, before we get to the demo, what would companies be doing if they didn't have this product? They could be using a different platform that tries to solve that problem before, or would they just be accessing something
it's all over the place,
and then
right?
to do it manually?
Yeah, so it's happening. I mean, it's sort of the world that people live in today, because there's not really something that's a direct sort of competitor, because people are doing these activities today, but they're doing it in siloed environments, siloed platforms, siloed functions. So you've got analysts doing things either in point solutions or in Excel or in Alteryx or something like that. You've got your engineers working, maybe in Tableau data prep or some sort of SQL type stuff. You've got your data scientists doing things in Notebooks or Databricks or whatever. And so they're doing those things today, but you can't collaborate, you can't work together in the same system. When you're talking about handoffs from teams, we're still emailing Excel spreadsheets around half the time, right?
Right.
That's what Dataiku gets you out of, is that everybody can go into the same platform, the same project, the same function, and work together in one spot.
Okay, so let's get to the demo. Now you got
Sure.
again, because you're appealing to a lot of different job roles. I think I asked you to come up with a use case scenario that shows the platform, but also a specific use case.
We'll do our best to sort of walk through a use case that'll show us a specific use idea, but really go through how some of those different people would work with it. So you come into Dataiku. Dataiku is, again, because it's that central platform, it's always going to be running in a browser base. And so you're going to be accessing it via your browser. It's going to be server-based in your cloud, VPC or hosted. Come in, this is your homepage. But we're going to go in today, and I'm going to start out from the perspective of I'm an analyst. I'm in an FP&A team, so I'm doing financial analytics, and I just need to generate a report. And so I've got a project that's built out here, but if I'm that analyst, I don't really care what the messy backend looks like. I just need to come up with my report. And so here we're going to start with, we've built out something that's going to build that report for me to give me that first draft of it and help me get that out the door faster. So I'm going to pick a business unit. Let's start with, we'll do the Americas without USA. I click on it, and I've got a report already built out and run for me. So this is drafted out by an LLM. So that's gone and created all of it. I can go through. It's got a summary. It's telling me what's going on here. I've got what's happened recently. So it's accessing our existing sales performance data. It's talking about what's working, what's not, all those basic things. And then it's also tagging into that forecast. And so the LLM is pulling from our structured databases to give us real world information. So it's not hallucinating. I'm not asking it to make up numbers.
Okay.
Pull those numbers from me. It's interfacing with our sort of SQL paradigm to then pull that SQL, but then it's going in and it's pulling in what's coming out of our forecast data as well. So I'm looking at that historical performance. I'm looking at that forecast performance. All of that's pulled together. But of course, this is a first draft. I take a look at it, I go, okay, this is great. This is what the basics are there, but hopefully I'm a finance analyst who wants to spend a little bit more time, make sure that these numbers are right, everything's in there. So maybe I then need to go into and click into the dashboard. So I can actually now go into, this is gonna link me to those underlying data sources, so I can actually then go and verify and validate that all of what I was looking at in that report is there. Okay. Or it said something, showed me this, this unit's doing really well, this, forecast is high. Why? I can go in, I can drill down, look, it's basic dashboard stuff. It's a dashboard, cool, but it's linked into so that the LLM, my BI system, all of this is pulling from the same information and giving me that ability to go in and sort of dig in, deepen, and figure out what's actually happening. So let's say that, this had some good stuff in it, but I actually even want to change it. I can even then go and say, hey, add in a comparison against Japan. Okay. Whatever, something like that. So this is preset with something that's built so that I'm not having to wait for it to build it. It's always got this going in the background. But if I need to do some different things, I can do that. Now, of course, this is now an LLM. It's going out, it's pulling from a lot of different data sources. And so this isn't a single query. It's going to come back. But it's pretty quick. So it's got now, I've got a little bit more to it. It's talking about the USA. It's added some stuff in here. Cool. So that's that starting point, that analyst that just needs to get, hey, I need to do something quickly. I want to get a report out the door. I don't want to spend 4 weeks monkeying around in Excel and typing all this stuff up. I can do this and it's standardized. I can then export this as a PDF. I can share it and now I've got that record of it.
Okay.
Now, all of this is coming, though, of course, from internal data sources. It's coming from predictive models, everything like that. So if I think of it, that first person is that finance analyst. They don't want to be the ones who have to construct all that background data. They want the results, and they want to spend their time doing this.
Right.
Looking at the data, looking at the results, not copying and pasting stuff from Oracle into Excel to do some VLOOKUPs and all of that sort of stuff, which is, of course, both time-consuming, error-prone, and not what they're being paid to do. So great, that's that analyst side of things. They don't need to know what's going on in the back end. This is where they're going to be able to focus their time using the front end. But as we think about those sort of life cycle of the different people that are involved in all of this, somewhere along the line, there's a data engineer that was pulling all this data together. So now we go a little bit deeper into it and we say, okay, this is now all of these different data sources that are coming together to put this all together. So of course, this gets messy.
Does the company need to know where their data sources are, or is it something where the tool can go and find all the data sources?
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah. So I as a user can go in and look all over where I need to find that data. So, I can go in and I can go into a catalog. Every data asset that is in Dataiku that is available to me as a user is going to show up in this catalog. So obviously, the more you know, the faster it's going to be. But if I just need to look up customer data or something, I can just go in, I can search for it. I can go through a data collection that says, here's all the data sources that are in this one.
Because sometimes companies come in and tell us that the big problem is a lot of companies don't know where their data actually is.
Yes.
Before they even get to the analytics part.
And that is, especially, and that back to that question of what are people doing if they're not using Dataiku? If I don't know where to go get that data, I don't even know that it exists. Right. So that's where, with Dataiku, we can create the connections, but we're doing that because it's through a single UI and we don't move the data. It's respecting those underlying controls that are already there. Yeah. So I can go into a catalog like this, I can do the Connection Explorer, and I can select, hey, I want to search through a specific one if I want to. So I've got my Databricks, I've got some local JDBC stuff, I've got all these different things that I can search through. But if I don't have access to that underlying data, I'm still not going to be able to get to it. I can see that it's there, but that actually then gives me an avenue to now go to, security ops, whoever it is, to say, hey, I need access to this data.
All right, so I got you off track there for a second.
You're
so
fine.
Let's go back to, so you've got this big,
So I've got this big, huge, messy thing, which of course
that looks cool to me.
And hey, look, it's a DAG, right?
Yeah.
It's data sources with recipes that are stringing things together.
Okay.
The fun part here is that, again, I can have these data sources living wherever they need to be. So some of it's in the cloud, some of it's in Databricks, some of it's in Snowflake, some of it's on-prem, whatever. I'm accessing these data points, but as that data engineer, I can click into, so the blue boxes here are all of the data sources. I then have a whole set of recipes of what I can do to those. And so this is where we want different people to be able to work with data the same way. I can do visual recipes where it's going to be that sort of low to no code type stuff that comes in and says, hey, these are the basic things that I'm doing on a regular basis. I can move stuff from one to another. I have a prepare recipe, which has a bunch of varied stuff. I can do grouping, sampling, whatever. These are the very typical stuff that people are going to do in Excel, in Alteryx, that type of things. But maybe I'm the data engineer and I actually want to be able to code to it. In this case, I'm actually an analyst only user in my profile in this one. So I can only use those visual recipes because you don't want a jamoke like me writing code on anything because I'm not in that role. But if I go to a different one where I am a data scientist in the profile or whatever, I have access to these code recipes. I can write some Python, I can write some R, I can write some SQL, and that's where we have all these different recipes and I'll zoom in so you can sort of see something that's going on here. Here I'm pulling a couple things together. I've got a whole bunch of processors to get this data, to do all that cleaning, to do all that prepping. I've got structured data, I've got unstructured data, I'm pulling things from my own sources, I'm pulling things externally. It's very easy and fluid to be able to pull all those different things in, but instead of it being 10,000 lines of SQL, that then when I leave and someone comes to replace me, that I hand it off and then they go, great, now I have to go figure out, whatever variable quality SQL has been handed off to me. This is structured, it's got zones, it's split in a way that I can sort of dig in and say, oh, this is where I'm creating a forecast. This is where I'm doing some time series, all these different pieces. That's what the engineer's doing, but then they can hand it off to the data scientist that's actually gonna go and write a model to do the forecasting, right? And so this is where you can see I've got the analyst that just needs that output, is working with the applications that were built here, or I can surface those somewhere else, right? Whatever that sort of tool of choice is. We, of course, can expose anything via API, piece of cake, whatever. So I can build it here, I can use it here. My engineer can build some of the pipelines. If I need some data science in there and I need to do some predictive modeling, I can add in the predictive model here, and then that output is all gonna feed into those LLMs. The other piece as well, because LLMs being everybody's favorite topic these days, is what are the other ways that I can work with it? So one of the things I have recipes that allow me to do sort of basic prompts. That's the type of stuff we would use NLP for a lot historically. We've already built those out. Summarization, classification, translation, very common uses for LLMs, but we've got pre-baked recipes that then have some of those sort of best practices built in to do the translations, to do those classifications. Or maybe I need to do something more complicated. I can go into a prompt studio and I can say, hey, this is the prompt that's building that report that we saw before. This is where that prompt sits because somebody wrote that as a prompt that's in here. You can see the historical prompts that we tried before. We also can hook into any LLM. And so in the background, we have what we call our LLM mesh. We're not an LLM company. We're not creating those. We're giving you a gateway that then, of course, has all of the same, it's user-based security. You can control what data source, which one you want to do it. You want to do local stuff? Great. You want to use external things, et cetera. You can do a RAG with it, all those various pieces. And so we're giving all these different people the ability to work with the data the way that they need to, from that basic analyst to your data engineer, your data scientist, all in a way that then the admin who's setting up these connections can set up the connections in a way that they know now who's using what data sources they're using, what LLMs are using, what models they're using. All of that is tracked in then one place, which gives your legal folks security. It gives your security folks confidence that they know what's going on.
Got to impress those people.
There's a lot of people that come in with opinions here.
All right. Lots of great features here, Connor.
Sure.
Where can people go for more information, to learn more about it? Yeah.
So unsurprisingly, dataiku.com,
Yeah.
definitely your best place to go. We have a number of our customer use case stories there, so you can see how actual customers are using it. If you want to get a little bit deeper into it, we do have, of course, a free trial that you can go and you can access there. Our documentation is beyond extensive. There's both sort of user documentation as well as developer documentation for those different user types there. So, hit that up. We also have an academy. It's just academy.dataiku.com that has training courses that are available for free to go and learn the basics of how to use it and everything like that.
All right, Connor, thanks again for joining us on the show here. There's a lot of great stuff here.
My pleasure, Keith. Thanks for having me.
That's all the time we have for today. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, add any thoughts you have below. Join us every week for new episodes of Demo. I'm Keith Shaw. Thanks for watching.